So if you go to that YouTube link, it should be starting. And then now we'll have to check if we can see you or not. I may have to invite you that way. Okay. Right. So I gotta invite you. And how do I invite people? Yes.
And I'm just logged in as me.
Do you want to be invited too?
Did you add Gary too?
I added Gary.
Oh,
Okay.
click up there at the top. Cut the camera off. Up there.
Camera off. Okay.
Oh, now it's up there. It was off. Oh,
I
it's
can
'cause
see
he's
you,
on.
Yeah.
or I saw you.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, the camera should be on now. How is the
Yep.
audio?
Good.
Okay.
click down on our thing down there in the corner. Maybe. Just somewhere to bring up settings. Oh, the little cogwheel.
Okay.
Let's just make sure that the
Okay, it's actually going through the webcam.
yeah, that's
So
the,
we can
the
try.
default.
Yeah, we're going to try. Well,
no,
I
no,
guess.
go to the, no, it's the second.
Okay, yeah, microphone. Duh. Blue snowball.
Yes.
Going to try changing mics, see if this sounds any better.
Okay.
And
Okay.
you have to hit save.
Oh, and save.
Yeah.
Okay, is that better, worse, or about the same?
It's a tad better, maybe, but not much better.
Okay. Okay, yeah, because the first one was the webcam mic, and this one's using the snowball.
Good.
Okay, well, let me do that. Do that. Do that. Get that ready. And then screen, then that's the share screen. Yes, okay. We screen share. Entire screen, I assume. Whoa.
Is that working, Tom?
Infinite. I like the infinite number of screens.
That was pretty awesome, yeah.
So,
So
yeah, I have to control the who's because if I don't click on the window, whoever's talking will get the screen. So since I don't have the camera on, you get to see the lovely logo. So all I have to do is click on you, and then you will always show up. And
progress through a couple of slides.
Okay.
Make sure.
Okay, so you should see the title slide now.
Be ready.
Being ready.
Oh, being ready. Yeah.
Designate safe areas. Practice. Is that all looking okay?
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. All right, well, I will stop sharing then so we can put the logo back up. All right. Ready with six minutes to go. 6 minutes to spare.
All right, cool.
Excellent.
We had 2 viewers. Now we have 1.
I probably had it on in there.
We're about to go live. Bottle of water before we get going.
Do you want me to start here with you or just come in?
Yeah, that's good. Then I can introduce you.
Okay. And I may just talk about the hashtag.
Okay.
And I'll just say follow along. Okay. Send your questions there, and if you're on Facebook watching, just put a comment.
Okay.
Because some people on Facebook
Right.
don't have Twitter. So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I on the presentation I have the hashtag in the lower bottom right corner of each slide. Yeah.
I can introduce. I need to. How do I add a stream again? There we go. So we'll get started in about 5 minutes or so.
Okay, sounds good. And yeah, you'll kind of kick things off and introduce things, Tom.
Correct.
Pass it over to us. Okay.
Then I'll just be quiet and let you guys take over. And
okay. Sounds good.
when you go in the presentation, I'll leave and then come back. So when he comes back to us, it'll be like I never left.
Yeah. The miracle of television.
All right, sitting here listening.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing work that our ham radio team did. They fixed one of our antennas, replaced another, or actually replaced two of the antennas that were up there, including the big HF antenna that went kaput sometime last November or so, and got us all up and running now.
Oh, cool.
So if anything happens that we need it, we got it.
Yeah.
Now.
Oh, that's good. Very good.
Yeah, all for free.
Oh, so they're just volunteers?
Yeah.
I thought they were maybe contractors.
No, there are some of the members of the team that is monitoring the local nets during severe weather, passing stuff into the chat room. Yeah.
We'll get started in here about 2-3 minutes. So.
Okay.
Got a few more viewers on, so.
Good. One of them's me out there.
That's fine.
Don't get too excited.
I say with spotter training, we'll get who we get and we put on the show for them.
Well, the good thing about these is you can watch them. If they're kept on YouTube.
Whenever,
so.
yeah.
The first one I did was like 3 years ago, 15. I was looking at it last night. I was like, wow, so go back and watch it. It's like an hour and a half. It was almost 2 hours long.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, because we had Morristown and Nashville on.
Oh, one of the statewide.
SPC on.
Okay.
The Red Cross.
Okay.
And Eric Proceeds was on.
Right. Cool. Yeah, the one we did with Mississippi a couple of years ago. I think it was about an hour probably.
Like the River Center.
And Jackson and I think New Orleans and Mobile, yeah. Right. And then the RFC, yeah.
Well, it's just about 6:30. We'll wait a minute or so to see if we're going to get any more people. So I don't want to start too early, but okay, we still don't have a whole lot of people, but we have some, so we'll go ahead and get started. I'm Tom Salem. I'm with the Memphis chapter of the AMS and National Weather Association, and we're hosting a live chat with a couple meteorologists from the National Weather Service. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and I'll be quiet for the rest of the night. Hopefully, this is information you'll enjoy. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Tom. And thanks to the AMS NWA chapter for hosting us this evening. My name's Gary Woodall. I'm a meteorologist here at the National Weather Service in Memphis, and going to be talking with you a little bit about the severe weather, safety, and preparedness as we come into the heart of the season. Been kind of a fast start so far here in the Mid-South with the tornadoes a couple Saturdays ago, the flooding that's ongoing. And so we're going to talk some about severe weather preparedness and safety this evening. I also have with me Zach May, one of our meteorologists. And Zach, let you kind of describe what you're going to be doing this evening.
Yeah, so we're going to be monitoring social media. So if you're on Twitter, you can follow along at hashtag SWA Memphis. And if you're watching this on Twitter, we've already put that hashtag up, so you can just click into that, follow along. If you have questions, we're going to be monitoring those. We'll take a couple breaks for questions, depending on how many we get. And then if you're on Facebook, maybe you don't have the ability to get on Twitter and use hashtags, that's fine. You'll see there is a post on Facebook where we posted this presentation. And if you'll just go comment on there, I'll be looking at some of those questions too. And when we get to the section where we take questions, hopefully we'll have a good discussion made up of your questions. So please send those to us.
Okay, and you'll see I accidentally have the wrong hashtag in the presentation. SWA chat is what I mistakenly put in the presentation. SWA Memphis is where you're going to want to go. So let's go ahead and share the screen here and bring the presentation up, and we will get off and on our way. And again, SWA Memphis, what you're going to want to use there. So again, thank you all for being here this evening. And again, we're off to an active start. So this is really a good time to go through and remind ourselves of some of the dangers, the hazards, the threats that thunderstorms pose, and to remember some of the safety rules that we'll need to keep in mind when severe weather is in the area. Of course, the main message here is being ready, making sure that we're ready for whatever threats we might have as we come through the severe weather season. So we need to have a plan. We need to understand the threats that we can face here in the Mid-South and know what to do ahead of time. Waiting until the storms are at your doorstep and the warnings are flying, that's too late. Now, before the season is when we really need to be making these severe weather plans. Need to designate the safe areas in advance at your home, at your workplace, wherever you might happen to be. Designate and find those safe areas that you would get to quickly if a tornado or severe weather event threatened. We need to practice the plan regularly at our home, at our school, at our workplace. We need to make sure that we're familiar with what we're going to do, and need to make sure that the first time we're conducting our plan is not during the chaos and live fire of an actual severe weather event. We need to be able to receive weather information and have as many ways as possible to get that severe weather information. Need to enact your plan quickly if the threat materializes. You may only have a few minutes between when the warning gets issued until the actual event hits, and so we need to use that few minutes wisely. And then we need to have some continuity, some contingency plans, what we're going to do after the storms come through, and making sure that, again, we're as prepared as we can be on a personal level. So we'll start out with some fundamental definitions, just to make sure we're all squared away as far as our terminology and our wording is concerned. First and most important, the difference between a watch and a warning. All watches, tornadoes, severe thunderstorm, flash flood watches, mean that the large-scale ingredients, the conditions are coming together that might produce hazardous weather over the next several hours. Watches valid for roughly 6 hours or so, maybe a little longer for flash flood watches, maybe a little shorter for tornado or severe thunderstorm, but they do typically cover large areas. All the red outlined counties that you see on this map, that was a large tornado watch that was issued on this particular day. So if we come under a watch, we can continue our normal activities, but we need to start paying closer attention to the weather, because if we issue a watch, that means we're expecting things to kind of go downhill over the next few hours. A warning, on the other hand, is an urgent message indicating that spotters have observed a tornado or severe thunderstorm, or we've detected a possible tornado or possible severe thunderstorm on radar. Warnings valid for usually less than an hour and are usually issued for areas that are going to be near the forecast path of that storm, the red outlined area that you see in this diagram. So if we come under a warning, that's when we're going to need to take action, activate our safety plan, and get ourselves into that safe location, because the watch means it might happen. The warning means it probably is happening. A tornado is a violently rotating column of air attached to the base of the thunderstorm and in contact with the ground. Pretty straightforward definition there. The definition of a flash flood is a rapid rise of water, usually during or after a period of heavy rain. Now, we throw the usually in there because other things can cause a flash flood, like a dam break, a levee failure, debris jam up underneath a bridge. those can all cause flash flooding. And we've seen some of those, unfortunately, here in the Mid-South the last couple of years. But most often when we're talking about flash floods, we're talking about too much rain in too short a period of time. A severe thunderstorm is defined as a storm which produces either hail 1 inch in diameter or larger, about the size of a quarter or larger, and or wind gusts 58 miles an hour or stronger. The definition has nothing to do with lots of lightning and thunder, with very heavy rainfall, with dark, ugly, scary clouds. Only the wind, the hail, or a tornado would define a thunderstorm as severe. Now, here in the Mid-South, we certainly are prone to severe weather. And during an average year across the Mid-South, we will see an average of 25 tornadoes in the area. 330 severe thunderstorms, large hail, and damaging winds. 87 flash flood events. And of course, most of our severe weather occurs during the spring, March, April, May, our primary time frame, but we do oftentimes have a secondary season in the fall and the winter. We just need to think back to December of 2015 and the terrible tornadoes down in northern Mississippi, tornadoes in Tennessee and Arkansas. So we can certainly have that secondary season in the fall and the winter. But severe weather can occur any time of the year. Whenever we get the ingredients together for thunderstorms, we can potentially have severe weather. So we really need to be on guard through a good portion of the year. Now, flash flooding is the #1 killer among thunderstorm-related events, not only here in the Mid-South, but across the country as a whole. Nationwide, nearly 130 people each year lose their lives in flood and flash flood events. And a lot of the time, it's from people driving or walking into the floodwaters. Many deaths occur in vehicles, again, people trying to get through the floodwaters to the other side. A lot of deaths happen at night when the flooding is harder to see. The depth of the water, the condition of the roadbed underneath is hard to tell as well. So flash flooding at night is a very dangerous situation. So our flash flood safety tips: turn around, don't drown is our flash flood safety slogan. Moving flood water is very powerful. It only takes about 2 to 3 feet to float a vehicle, even a good-sized truck or an SUV, off of the road. It only takes about 6 inches to knock a person off balance, so they may slip and fall in and get swept away. So again, turn around, don't drown. If you're not near the flood, you're not going to get drowned in the flood. So it's a pretty good rule to live by. You want to stay away from the creeks and the ditches, especially if you have young ones. It is fascinating to stand on the bank of the creek or the ditch and watch the water go rushing downstream. But that can be dangerous because those banks can get slippery, muddy, easy for someone to slip and fall in and get swept away. And again, be really careful at night, like we talked about before, when the depth of the water would be harder to tell. When the scene like we show here, you may not see in time to get stopped and go off the side and into the water and swept downstream. So be really careful at night. Lightning is the #2 killer among thunderstorm threats. And when lightning strikes, people that are outdoors and in the open are going to be most vulnerable. Lightning wants to try to strike the tallest objects around it can find, make that shortest, easiest path it can from the cloud base down to the ground. So again, people that are outdoors, out in the open, are going to be particularly vulnerable to lightning strikes. Lightning brings a tremendous force when it occurs. A temperature about 50,000 degrees, that's hotter than the temperature of the surface of the sun, and an electrical current of about 30,000 amps. Now, that may not mean a whole lot to you, but the medical experts say that less than 1 amp is all it takes to theoretically stop somebody's heart, so potentially deadly as far as the temperature and as far as the electricity is concerned. And reminder again, if you have any questions as we're going through this program, SWA Memphis, not SWA Chat, but SWA Memphis is the hashtag to use to tweet to us or put a comment on our Facebook post, our Facebook page, and we'll get to the questions later on through the program this evening. So when it comes to lightning safety, Again, lightning wants to strike the tallest objects around it can find. So the best place to be is inside a strong, sturdy, grounded building. All metal vehicles, not a convertible, but a hardtop vehicle, will also provide pretty good protection from the lightning, as long as you're not touching any of the metal on the inside of the vehicle. Again, lightning wants to find the shortest, easiest path it can from the cloud down to the ground. So lightning wants to try to strike the tallest objects in the area it can find. And so we want to stay away from those. Trees, light poles, telephone poles, athletic stands, especially the tallest trees in an area, or solitary trees, lone trees, good targets for lightning. If you're close enough to a thunderstorm to hear the thunder from that storm, you're getting in range of the lightning. Lightning can easily strike 5 to 10 miles from where the rain is actually falling out of the storm. So when you can hear the thunder, you're getting in range. That's when you want to get to a safer shelter. Give yourself ample time to get to safety. If you're out on the lake or the golf course, give yourself time to get to shore, to get inside, to get to a safe location before that lightning gets there. And then stay in your safe location till 30 minutes after you hear the last thunder. Give that storm plenty of time to get a safe distance away. Now, if a severe thunderstorm warning gets issued for the area, one of the most important things we can do is to not minimize the threat. Don't think to yourself, well, it's just a severe thunderstorm warning. It's not a tornado warning, so it's not going to be that bad. And here in the Memphis area in particular, and across the Mid-South, all we need to do is think back to last Memorial Day weekend and the vicious thunderstorms that moved through, all the trees that were down, all the buildings that were damaged, the 188,000 people without power, all from just a severe thunderstorm. So we can't minimize that threat. If a severe thunderstorm warning is issued for your area, get inside a good, solid, sturdy building. Stay away from the windows. Stay away from the exterior walls in case any strong winds blow any debris in toward those windows. You want to be away from those. Mobile homes, prefab buildings, vehicles do not offer very good protection from the wind. We need to find a safer place that we can go. And vehicles, really not a good place to be with hail. Now, with hail that's maybe quarter size, maybe a little bit bigger than that, you might be okay. But if we start getting really large hail, golf ball, tennis ball size, baseball size hail, that's going to be big enough and heavy enough to break the windows of the vehicle. And that's going to be really dangerous to be inside if that's the case. And then that brings us to tornadoes. Now, unfortunately, here in the Mid-South, we lead the nation as far as killer tornadoes are concerned. Three main reasons for that. Number one is we don't have a lot of underground shelters here in the Mid-South, so we don't have those underground safe places we can get to. We have a lot of people that live in mobile homes in the Mid-South, and that's fine. There is nothing wrong with living in a mobile home. We just need to have a safer place we can get to if a tornado is threatening. And then third, a lot of our tornadoes happen at night when we can't see them. Maybe we're asleep. Maybe we're not paying real close attention to the weather. But again, the nighttime tornadoes are particularly dangerous. Now, even weak tornadoes will have winds hurricane force or greater. The strongest tornadoes can have winds over 200 miles an hour. The longest lived tornadoes on the ground for over an hour may cover over 50 miles across the ground. Now, those strong and violent tornadoes, like we saw back in December of 2015 in northern Mississippi, they're really rare. Less than 1 out of 100 will fall into that category, but those are the ones that cause most of the deaths and the injuries and the damage that we associate with tornadoes. We use a scale called the Enhanced Fujita Scale, or the EF scale, to rate the tornadoes based on the damage that they cause. We look at the various things that were hit by the tornado, be it homes or barns or outbuildings or commercial buildings, schools, trees, whatever gets hit. And we look at the severity of the damage, use that to estimate a wind speed based on what the engineering and the meteorology communities have determined. And then using the wind speed, we then will get an EF scale rating for the tornado. The EF scale goes from 0 to 5, where EF 0s and 1s would be the weak tornadoes. EF 2s and 3s would be strong tornadoes. EF 4s and 5s would be violent tornadoes. So if you are at home, at work, shopping in the store, at school, and a tornado threatens, what should you do? Well, as I mentioned last slide, an underground shelter is the best place to be. But since not very many of us have underground shelters, what should we do then? Well, a small interior room or hallway on the lowest floor of the building is going to be the next best place to be. Small closets, interior hallways, windowless interior bathrooms, good places to be. We want to stay away from wide span roof areas like gymnasiums, auditoriums, cafeterias. Those big wide roofs just can't hold up their own weight, plus the force of a tornado pressing against it. Most of the deaths and injuries that occur in tornadoes occur when people are struck by flying debris. What looks like pieces of paper flying around the base of this tornado, that's actually boards and bricks and pieces of concrete and metal and power poles and power lines and glass and Lord knows what else flying around at very fast speed around the base of the tornado. So when you get into your safe location, if you've got a motorcycle helmet or a bike helmet, a football helmet, put that on. Give your head a little bit of extra protection just in case your building gets hit and stuff starts flying around. And consider a safe room. Now that, again, we don't have a lot of underground shelters here in the Mid-South, but a safe room, an above ground storm shelter is something to think about. A lot of times we can take a closet or an interior bathroom and reinforce it with a steel or concrete, rebar reinforced concrete, extra planks of plywood, all the above, and make it basically a hardened room, a safe room, an above ground storm shelter. Now, this is much easier to do in new home construction than with existing homes, but there are some things that we can do even in existing homes, and would recommend going to the FEMA website, www.fema.gov, and they have some really good information and publications there on safe rooms in buildings. Again, as we're going through, if you have any questions, you can tweet to us. SWA Memphis, not SWA Chat, as we have in the corner of the screen, or you can post a comment on our Facebook page, and we will answer any questions that you have. One of the worst places we can be in a tornado is in a vehicle. We need to not try to outrun the tornado in our vehicle. We need to abandon the vehicle, get inside a solid, sturdy, reinforced structure. It is very easy for the winds of a tornado to get underneath the vehicle, flip it over, bounce it along, carry it off, wrap it around a tree like what happened with this vehicle here. This was back in 2006. So again, vehicles, very dangerous places to be, unsafe places to be with a tornado threatening. Now, if you're out in the open and cannot get to a sturdy building, a last resort refuge might be a ditch or a culvert, just the lowest spot of ground you can find. But I'll be up front and tell you that that's not going to be as safe as being inside a sturdy reinforced building, because you're still outdoors. You're still going to be vulnerable to the debris that's flying around. And you may be in a place where flooding could occur. The storms that produce tornadoes often produce very heavy rainfall as well. And so you may find yourself in a flash flood situation as well. So we need to be very careful about that. And when we talk about substantial buildings, we don't necessarily mean a bank vault or something like that. Any sort of substantial building is going to be better shelter. The bathrooms in a restaurant or a convenience store, a gas station, the small rooms back away from the big windows, those would be better shelters than being in a vehicle. And please forget about the overpasses. They are not safe shelters in a tornado. The winds and the debris actually gets kind of funneled, accelerated underneath the overpass, and we can get stronger winds underneath there, much more dangerous situation than we might find in other locations. Also, if you get 3 or 4 cars stopped under an overpass, you're going to get a lot of traffic building up. That's going to put a lot of people at risk in a very vulnerable location with a dangerous event bearing down. So again, forget about the overpasses. Look for the sturdy reinforced buildings for shelter. Okay, so we're going to do a little audience participation now. I'm going to show you, we're going to use those rules and tips that we've talked about and take a look at a few examples here and try to determine if these are good storm shelter locations or not. So I'll let you look at this first one here. And again, you can tweet to us at SWA Memphis or post on our Facebook page. Let us know what you think. Do you think this is a safe location or not? I'll give you just a few seconds to look at it, come up with your decision, and then let us know what you think. Well, the answer here is maybe. This might be a good place to be. There's some good things and maybe some not so good things. This does, it is an interior hallway, it looks like, so that would be good. Not very many windows as a whole that we can see, so that's good. That's a positive. No external doors as far as we can tell, so that would be a check on the positive side. However, we do have, it looks like, some windows and maybe an exterior office down here at the far end, so we would want to stay well clear of that area, maybe on this side of the double lines here on the floor. So overall, this would probably be okay. A better option, it looks like we may have some bathrooms off to the left here. If those are windowless and looks like they're probably interior, that might be a better option even than this hallway. Okay, so here's number 2. I'll let you take a look at it for a minute and see what you think about this as far as a shelter. And hopefully it won't take you very long to decide that this is not a good shelter to be in. Obviously, it's a gymnasium. So we have the wide span roof up there at the top. And again, those big wide span roofs just cannot hold up their own weight, plus the force of a tornado's winds working on it. We have a row of windows up here, which is certainly a not good situation. These walls may not be reinforced. I've done damage surveys in other parts of the country and saw a case where a gymnasium was hit, and this was basically just concrete blocks and masonry. There was no rebar, no reinforcement, and the wall just flopped right over. So again, that may be not a good place to be, certainly a dangerous place to be. And then case number 3 here, I'll let you take a look at it. And this is probably going to be potentially a pretty good shelter. It looks like it's an interior office, which would be a positive. No windows that we can see, so that would be a plus. It looks like fairly heavy furniture, so that would be a positive as well. So overall, if this is an all interior office, that's probably going to be a pretty good place to be. All right. Again, if you have any questions, be sure and tweet them to us. Hashtag is SWA Memphis, not SWA Chat, as we show here. Or you can post a comment on our Facebook page. So now we need to practice the plan. Now that we've put our plan together, we know what we need to do. We've found our safe areas. We need to practice the plan. Why? Well, it ensures that everybody, all the key players in our plan, are familiar with their roles, what they're going to have to do during that live severe weather event. Make sure that we have enough shelter areas designated. Make sure that we don't have problems, especially in an office or a large workplace, everybody getting to their shelter areas. Drilling, especially in a school or an office or a professional building, drilling every 3 months or so is a pretty good idea, just so that we can stay sharp on it. But if you have any changes to your plans or changes to the key players in your plan, good to drill as soon as possible after that, so that everyone can get comfortable with whatever the new plans are. Now, obviously, in order to activate our plan, we need to know that the storm's coming. And so we need to have as many ways as possible to get that severe weather information. Weather radio, NOAA Weather Radio is a great way. That's a broadcast that originates right from our office here in Memphis. There are a lot of great smartphone apps out there that will key on broadcast our watch and warning information as well. Of course, our partners in the commercial media do a great job broadcasting our warnings and information to their viewers and their listening audiences. We post all of our watch and warning information on our internet webpage, on our social media channels as well. And then there are sirens, which are an outdoor warning system, a part of the overall warning system, excuse me, but cannot and should not be your only method of finding out when severe storms are coming. In fact, we recommend that people have at least 3 of these methods for being able to receive severe weather information. So going through some of these in a little more detail, again, NOAA Weather Radio is a 24-hour broadcast that originates right from our office here in Memphis. Whenever you don't have to have the radio on all the time to find out about watches and warnings. Whenever we issue a watch or a warning, we'll send out special codes over the radio broadcast that will actually turn on the alarm on this weather radio receiver. So it's kind of like a smoke detector for severe weather, if you want to think about it that way. The newer weather radios have a technology called SAME, S-A-M-E, which that will let you program which counties you want the radio to alarm for, and some control over what types of warnings will activate that alarm on the weather radio receiver. So for example, if you live over in Crittenden County, West Memphis or Marion, there in Crittenden County, you're probably not that concerned about watches and warnings for Marshall County, Mississippi, or Fayette County. So you can set the radio to only alarm for the watches and warnings in your county. We do have an automated system. That's why you have that sort of computerized sounding voice when you listen to the broadcast. The reason we have the automated system, though, is for speed. It only takes that system a few seconds to broadcast that warning once we issue it on our computer workstations here. Of course, most of the radios have a battery backup in case the power goes out. You can get these weather radios at some of the grocery stores, electronic stores, some of the home improvement stores, about $30 or so for a good model weather radio. Of course, a lot of us have smartphones now. Gosh, a lot of people have smartphones these days. And again, there are some really good weather apps out there for smartphones. Many of these apps will key on your location services, your position, and they will actually use those particular warning polygons, those areas that we draw out, and only alert you if you are in or very close to one of these warning areas. So again, not as much overwarning as some of the older technologies. Now, there are, again, a lot of companies, a lot of good apps out there. We cannot recommend a specific company or app for you to use, but we do recommend whatever app you use, make sure that it broadcasts and keys off of our official National Weather Service warnings and information. Again, our commercial media partners do a great job broadcasting severe weather information to their viewers and their listening audiences. We work very closely with all of the media partners, not only here in Memphis, but in Jonesboro, Tupelo, Jackson, Tennessee, even Columbus, Mississippi. We work real closely with all of our media partners in the area. We'll hold workshops before the severe weather season. We'll go visit their studios. They'll come visit our office. And we make sure that we're as much on the same page as possible as we head into severe weather season. Now, during storm events, we have a secure online chat room where we can collaborate. We can talk back and forth. We can let them know what we might be seeing on radar, or they can let us know of any reports that they're getting from their viewers. And again, lets us collaborate in real time when severe weather events are taking place. And the goal, the reason for all that is to make sure that we are all speaking as consistently as possible when severe weather's in the area. So whether you get your information from us or from your favorite TV station or favorite radio station, we're all going to be saying pretty much the same thing. Again, we have a website, and we'll encourage you to bookmark our website, visit us regularly. Again, we post all of our watch and warning information there. We also will have a graphic like you see here up at the top of the page, always top front center of our web page. And this will show any hazardous weather that we're expecting over the next 7 days, give you a little preliminary heads up as far as any hazardous weather that may be on the horizon in the next several days. We are on social media, obviously. We have a Facebook page, and generally we will use Facebook for general information, pre-event briefings, outlooks, larger scale updates, weather safety type information. We'll post a lot of that on Facebook leading up to a potential severe weather event. We are on Twitter. We use Twitter a lot for fast breaking information, like the tornado report that you see on this tweet. This is from December of 2015. We'll sometimes include radar pictures or other graphics, but again, faster breaking information for Twitter. And then, of course, we're on YouTube, and not only for live broadcasts like we're doing here, but we'll also put briefing videos, multimedia video briefings, safety messages, safety videos, storm summaries, seasonal outlooks, and the like. So we certainly encourage you to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube, but certainly look to other sources as well, and would encourage you to point to the credible sources there. Our local and state emergency management agencies, government agencies, our media partners. Make sure that you certainly follow as many sources as you can, but again, encourage you to really focus on those credible sources here in the Memphis area, in the Mid-South. So now we got to kind of put the rubber to the road and define our roles and responsibilities. Who in your home, your workplace, your school is going to be responsible for monitoring the weather information, especially if a watch is in effect? Who's going to be the weather watcher when we're expecting the storms to come in? Who is responsible for activating the severe weather plan, deciding, okay, the threat is here, we need to get into a safe location? Who fans the word out across your facility? This is really important if you're in a shopping mall or a large school campus or a large industrial facility or office complex. How are you going to get the word out to everybody? How long does it take to get to shelter? So how much lead time do you need? That's another reason why it's important to practice the severe weather plan, so you know how much lead time you're going to need. Do you have backups in place? People backups for the key players in your plan. Technology backups for monitoring the weather and for relaying that information in case one of your primary systems goes down. And then for after the storm, we need to have a way of reuniting people. Make sure that you have a contact outside of the area that you can contact and relay information to. If you're a business or a school or a professional building or facility, make sure that you have ways of reuniting your employees with their families. Make sure that you have all of your key documents, payroll records, and the like in a safe location. On a personal level, make sure that you have your documents in a safe location as well. And again, make sure that you're as ready for after the storm as you are before and during the storm. So summarizing, again, have a severe weather plan, practice that plan regularly. Make sure that your family members, your coworkers know what to do. Family members in particular, in case you're separated when severe weather threatens, it'll put your mind at ease that you know that they know what to do if the storm threatens. Have at least 3 ways of getting that severe weather information. And again, when the threat materializes, act quickly. Use those precious minutes to get settled into your safe location and hopefully come out okay. So here is all of our contact information. Again, our webpage, weather.gov/Memphis, facebook.com/NWS-Memphis, twitter.com/NWS-Memphis, and of course, @NWS-Memphis, our Twitter handle. youtube.com/NWS-Memphis. You should be picking up a pattern about now. My email address, if you have any follow-up questions for me, gary.woodall@noaa.gov. And then our phone number here at the office, 544-0399, extension 901. So we're going to come back to us now. And there we are. And Zach, any questions that have come up?
Yeah, I got a couple of questions for you from folks out there watching. One, you talked a little bit about weather radios and weather and radios that people could use. This viewer asked, do you recommend battery operated or solar crank radios?
Actually, both are. That's a really good question about battery operated or the solar powered or the crank radios. All certainly can be good to use. The key, whatever you use, have some sort of alternate power. Don't rely only on the commercial power, because like we saw last Memorial Day weekend, if the storm's big enough and bad enough, it's going to take out power over a large area for a long time. So whatever radio you use, either the crank or solar or battery powered, any of those are fine, but just make sure it has some sort of a backup source of power.
Yeah, good question. And then another question I have, do you recommend any specific questions that should be asked of facilities such as long-term care facilities that folks may be looking at about their severe weather preparedness?
That's another excellent question, because certainly the healthcare facilities, along with schools and shopping malls and like any place that we have a lot of people in a small location, those are really vulnerable locations, and folks there really need to be careful, especially the healthcare or the special needs facilities. May take a little more time to get the plan activated and get folks where they need to be into a safe location. So I would recommend, kind of like we talked about on our roles and responsibilities slide, maybe ask those questions. Do they have a plan? How do they monitor severe weather? How do they practice the plan? And make sure that they are ready to go. And of course, if there is a facility out there that would need maybe some help or some guidance, we can certainly provide some information and some tips as well for helping out with that severe weather planning.
Okay, and kind of going along with that, what about for maybe business owners? What tips would you give them to make sure that their businesses are weather ready and that they have plans in place for severe weather?
Yeah, another great question, and pretty much the same thing. Kind of go through that checklist that we talked about. Do we have a plan? Do we have our safe locations identified? Do we have ways of getting the severe weather information? Do the people that are going to execute the plan for me know what to do? And if you're a small business, that may be you that does all those things, or maybe one other employee. But it doesn't have to be an exhaustive plan. It doesn't have to be a 300-page document with all of the plans. A one-page sheet with a checklist type of thing would really be sufficient. Now, we do have a program, a couple of programs actually, for those that own businesses and schools and school districts and agencies, that if you do have a good severe weather plan, we'd like to recognize you for that. One is called the Weather Ready Nation Ambassador Program. Our vision is a nation that is prepared for, responsive to, and resilient to the effects of hazardous weather. And if you share that vision with us, and if you've taken steps to get your business ready, then we can certainly work with you to be recognized as a Weather Ready Nation Ambassador. That's a national level recognition program. We also have a program called Storm Ready Supporter, which is a little more prestigious recognition than Weather Ready Nation Ambassador. It's a little harder to obtain because we actually will come in and inspect your entity, your business or facility, and look at your plan and make sure that all those components are in place. But again, if you have a good severe weather plan in place and you'd like to be recognized by the National Weather Service, then Weather Ready Nation Ambassador and Storm Ready Supporter, a couple of good programs. And you can contact us for more information on those, and we can walk you through the process.
Okay. Well, that's all the questions we received with the hashtag. However, I think this is a good opportunity to tell folks, since we are in severe weather preparedness season, there were some questions because we have one going on tonight about the storm spotter classes.
Yes.
So you can go on our website, weather.gov/Memphis, and at the top, there's going to be links where you can see all those the latest classes that are coming up. I think we have them for the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Yes,
throughout the month of March and April coming up. So check those out and see where the nearest one is.
Definitely.
To you.
Yeah. Yeah, excellent point, Zach. And yeah, storm spotters, we talk some about the safety information, but we really talk a lot about the storms and some of the features and the clues to look for, things that might suggest that a storm is going to be capable of producing hail or damaging winds, or maybe even a tornado. And the spotters are really important because we have radar and we have satellite, great electronic tools, fantastic computer workstations for analyzing all this data. But the spotters still can fill in information that the electronic tools can't show us. And when we have the electronic tools plus the storm spotter reports, the visual and near storm environmental reports, that gives us the best picture of what the storms are doing. And that lets us make the best possible warning decisions. So even within this 21st century high-tech era, with all the technology we have, the storm spotters, trained storm spotters, still a really important part of the process.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I just using YouTube here now that we're doing this on YouTube, Facebook, and certainly Twitter. I guess just reiterating, you talked about ways to receive messages. These are all great ways to receive messages, but also good ways to report things into our office, because we're always monitoring Twitter, Facebook. So anytime you may see something in your area, hey, snap us a picture and send it to us at NWS Memphis. Because, like I said, 24 hours a day, someone's looking at Twitter here in our office, and we even get a little alert when you send something in. So send us your reports. We can never get too many reports from you guys out there, especially when we're trying to issue these warnings to protect life and property. So we'd appreciate if you did that.
Yeah. Phone calls are great, but a tweet or a Facebook post with a picture or a video clip, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, and a video clip may be worth 10,000 words.
Yeah.
So
or even a warning.
Yeah, absolutely. And certainly that will be again a huge help with us, seeing what the storm is doing, what it looks like, and helping with those warning decisions. Absolutely.
All right. All right. Any more questions?
Well, thank you all for joining us tonight. Hopefully you found this educational, and if it was stuff that you all knew anyway, well, then it's a good reminder as we come into the storm season. And Zach, appreciate you helping out with monitoring the social media, and some great discussion points there as well. And the AMS NWA chapter, we appreciate you hosting us this evening. And with that, Tom, we will throw it back over to you.
Yes, Gary. There is one other question.
Yes, sir.
We have it's who do businesses contact at the National Weather Service to review plans? Is it on the website?
They can contact me, actually. Again, gary.woodall@noaa.gov, or they can call that 544-0399 number, and they will track us down. And yeah, we can certainly any general guidelines as far as severe weather planning and the like, we can help out with that.
Okay, Gary, do you want to just show that final screen with all the contacts that may help? And we'll just close out with that.
We will pop that. Yeah, we will pop that back up here. Let me do the screen share. Maybe. There we go. And get the little infinity thing here. And there we go.
Yes, thanks, Gary. And thank you all for joining us. And if you have any questions, always you can contact the National Weather Service at these listings here, and we'll leave that up for a minute before I stop the broadcast. But these are the ways you can contact the Weather Service anytime. Also, if you have any questions. So thanks a lot for joining us, and thanks for the Weather Service for chatting with us for this short time. So thank you.